I am Sarah Zimmerman. I'm the Program and Policy Director here at the Safe Routes to School National Partnership. And we are so excited today to be presenting this really strong group of speakers who represent bicycling programs for youth across the country and are going to be telling us about some of the powerful and inspiring work that they do, engaging youth and getting them excited about bicycling. We're going to be hearing about bicycling initiatives that are getting kids healthy and active in Washington State, in Minnesota, and Arizona. We're really looking forward to hearing these speakers discuss the different challenges and opportunities that they have encountered as they are getting kids biking around their communities. First, a few quick words about the National Partnership. We are a national nonprofit organization. We work to support healthy, active kids and communities. We have a focus on safe routes to school, on walkable, bikeable neighborhoods, and on equitable transportation systems more generally. Before we get started with our webinar, I'm just going to quickly point out a few housekeeping items on GoToWebinar so everyone knows what we're doing here. So first of all, I just want to quickly walk you through the webinar features. So on your screen on the left, you have the GoToWebinar viewer, which is where you're seeing the presentation. The panel on the right, the smaller panel, is the GoToWebinar control panel. That's where you can raise your hand, you can ask questions, and you can select your audio mode. And click note, that control panel will collapse automatically when it's not in use. If you want to keep it open, you can click the View menu and uncheck Auto Hide Control Panel. Or otherwise, if it goes away and you want it back, you can just click the arrow in the top right to make it reappear. So you have two options for listening to us today. You can either listen over the telephone or through mic and speakers. Hopefully you've worked this out already. But if you have sound problems with one of those selections, just go ahead and try the other option. We'll do our best to field any issues that come up, so send us a chat message if you need to, and we will try and help. And then finally, we have everyone muted, but we still want to hear your input. So you can use the questions box to submit questions for the speakers at any time during the presentation. And we will answer as many of those questions as possible during the Q&A portion of the webinar at the end. And I know that some of you right now are probably rushing over to that question box to ask whether or not the webinar would be archived. And yes, it will. It's going to be posted on our webinar within 48 hours of this very moment. And you'll be able to find it there by clicking on the resources header and then selecting webinars in the left-hand menu. So with all of that, let us move on to talk about our program for today. We have an excellent group here with us. We are going to kick off by hearing from Shannon Kohler, who works at her dream job as Cascade Bicycle Club's Senior Director of Education, improving lives through bicycling every day. Her work is grounded in a community-driven approach and an interest in addressing social inequities through programming. Before joining Cascade, she worked coaching 7 seasons of Girls on the Run and creating after-school bike clubs in her neighborhood. And that helped her discover her love for developing experiences where kids can be active in a non-competitive environment. Shannon is thrilled that she may have actually convinced her 16-year-old to participate in her first bike event in Seattle in May, riding 24 miles on streets and highways closed to vehicle traffic. After hearing from Shannon, we are going to move on to Michelle Kiefer, who is the Safe Routes to School Program Manager for the Bicycle Alliance of Minnesota. Michelle's been an educator since 1990 when she received her bachelor's degree in elementary education. She's passionate about education and has experience as a professional educator in schools with the Girl Scouts of America and with county and state government. In her current role, she led the team that created the Walk Bike Fun curriculum that we'll be hearing more about today, and she developed the training for teachers and for community educators. She's led over 33 trainings and trained over 400 educators, and it's her goal to bring bicycle and pedestrian safety education to every school and let every child feel the joy of being safe in their community to walk or bike. We're then going to move on and hear from 2 staff people from the Living Streets Alliance in Tucson, Arizona. We'll first hear from Vanessa Castillo, who's the lead community liaison at Living Streets Alliance and is part of the Safe Routes to School Tucson team. She became passionate about livable and equitable community development in 2014 when she began coordinating the Safe Routes to School program in the city of South Tucson, working with predominantly low-income Latino communities. She's worked closely with these South Side neighborhoods and their school communities to figure out strategies to reduce the barriers to biking and walking for youth and their families. We will then hear from her colleague, Colby Henley, who is the Bicycle Program Manager at Living Streets Alliance. He moved to Tucson 22 years ago after living in Germany for 3 years, where he experienced firsthand how good urban design can make walking, biking, and transit a convenient option for everyday travel. He worked on wildlife conservation efforts for almost 20 years and then more recently joined the Living Streets Alliance, where he coordinates bike commuter incentive programs, bike valet services, and the mobile bike repair service as part of the Safe Routes to School program. After we hear from all of these folks, we are then going to turn briefly to Hannah Williams and Julie Frank, who are part of the National Partnership staff. And they're going to provide us some updates on a few opportunities that are going to be great for folks to learn about. And then we will go on and have some Q&A with the speakers. So now that you know our program and we've introduced the speakers, with no further ado, let me pass the mic to Shannon Kohler to tell us about the great work Cascade Bike Club is doing in Washington State.
Okay, great. I'm hoping you can all hear me now. I'll start from the beginning. This is Shannon Kohler, Senior Director of Education at the Cascade Bicycle Club located in Seattle, Washington. I am going to highlight 4 of our education programs, 2 with wide-reaching, working broadly within the community and throughout the states, and 2 with a health equity focus, working deeply within the community to elicit positive change. And I hope to spark some ideas of what might work well in your communities to promote active transportation to schools and in your neighborhoods. So to provide some context of who we are and what we're about, we are the Cascade Bicycle Club, the nation's largest statewide bicycle nonprofit. Our work is organized around 3 main areas of focus, including policy, education, and events, which include our recreational riding. We are a staff of 40. We also have an affiliated 501c3 organization, Washington Bikes, that allows us to do our political work, including endorsement of bike-friendly candidates that are running for office. Our vision is bicycling for all, with a mission of improving lives through bicycling. And I'm hoping that you'll see our vision and our mission reflected in the programming that I'm going to talk about today. So let's get started. So the first program I wanted to share with you is what we call our Let's Go program. It's an elementary school bike and pedestrian safety unit that's delivered in PE classes, grades 3 through 5. And we recently revised it to include pedestrian safe crossing lessons. Previously, it was just a bicycle unit. Washington State revised its PE and health standards this year, and we wanted to make sure that the program also aligned with those state standards. We also created differentiated lessons so that the teachers can meet students where they are. So, for example, if you have students that live in a neighborhood where they typically have access to bikes, they their skills might be a little bit better, and so teachers can move on from straight line riding and get into scanning and signaling, for example. The program is delivered in 96 schools this year in 4 local adjacent school districts, and we will reach nearly 20,000 students this year. There is the adaptive component that we are piloting this year, and it really is a way of kind of living out our mission, Bicycling for All. We work with a nonprofit partner that's located here in Magnuson Park with us, who specializes in providing outdoor experiences for people with adaptive needs, and working alongside the school districts, occupational therapists and physical therapists and specialists. The lessons are adapted and the equipment's provided so that students who have limited mobility, who are visually impaired, for example, can experience the joy of bicycling and practice bike and pedestrian safety. We're currently piloting the program at a local elementary school, so we're nowhere near experts on this yet, but we're really excited about this program and the direction that we're going. So let's level up into the level up the grade continuum to talk about middle schoolers. We also participate in a statewide Safe Routes to School program. This is an education and encouragement only Safe Routes to School project. It's administered through the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction. Shout out to Bill Evans if he's listening today. We work really closely with him. He's the Safe Routes to School program manager at OSPI. And much like the Let's Go program, the core of the program is bike and pedestrian safety. It's a unit taught in the middle school PE classes. The difference between this program and the Let's Go program is that the districts that receive the bikes and trailers get to keep them through this grant. They also receive teacher training and all of the program materials. We're currently in 58 school districts throughout the state of Washington, and it's estimated that the program has reached 150,000 students over the last several years. And then let's move on to our health equity programs and initiatives. The first one is our Major Taylor project. It's a youth development program for middle and high schoolers. It takes the form of an after-school club, and it's intentionally located in diverse and low-income neighborhoods. We will reach 500 students in 16 schools and 4 local school districts this year. So the photo that you see on the left there are 2 of the 70 students that completed a 206-mile Seattle to Portland ride last summer, known as the STP. And then the student that's on that you see on the right there is someone who has earned a bike through our 10-week Earn a Bike program, which happens in the winter when the weather's not so great here. Nice to be indoors actually building a bike. But more than a bike club, Major Taylor Project is an initiative to address inequities in society. So by intentionally placing the clubs in diverse neighborhoods and in schools with very high percentages of free and reduced lunch, and by dedicating half of our education team to this one program, we are signaling to students that their lives matter. And more than an opportunity to improve physical health, the Major Taylor Project offers an inclusive community. It's a place for belonging, and it's a platform for students to build self-esteem and become a change agent in their communities. Again, I mentioned 70 students rode from Seattle to Portland last year, and many of the students had never been outside of their neighborhood and had, certainly not been on a bike. And there's this immense and lasting power that comes from, doing the things that you didn't think that you can do. And if you just, think about how that can translate into other areas of their lives, students might feel that, going to college is possible even though no one else in their family has a degree. We know through the pre and post surveys that students report higher levels of physical activity, increased confidence in navigating their urban environment, and an increase in self-esteem, among other positive outcomes. So out of the successes of the Major Taylor Project in the Highline School District comes the second health equity project, the White Center Bike Playground. It's a streetscape. If you see on the lower left-hand corner there, it's sort of an overhead view. This isn't the final design, but it will sort of give you an idea of the concept here. It's a streetscape that's painted on the surface of 2 underutilized tennis courts, provides a safe and protected place for youth and adults to improve their bike handling skills and understand right-of-way concepts. So Cascade was encouraged by King County Parks to apply for a youth sports facility grant because of the programming that we were already doing in the area through the Let's Go program and the Major Taylor project. So this was a collaboration between government, so King County, the private sector, Alta Planning and Design actually designed the streetscape for us, nonprofit organizations like Cascade, and then we worked really closely with a couple of local community organizations, the Yes Foundation of White Center and the White Center Community Development Association, which are sort of youth-focused and incubators for community-led initiatives. So we really wanted, we were really intentional about where we built this project. The neighborhood has several high-risk factors when you look at social determinants of health, such as socioeconomic status, access to health care, conditions of the built environment. And one of the things that's impressed me so much about this community is that it just has a really strong social cohesion. There's a really strong connection between the residents that live there. We wanted to be in a place where we could have long-term engagement, and it was really important for us that we involved the community from the very beginning. So they really helped to define what this park would look like, and we wanted to make sure that the project was really aligned with the community goals, namely their interest in healthy and active living. So we opened the bike playground in October, and it is now currently open to the public. In this next phase, we're doing a lot of outreach. So one, just to raise awareness of the project. Two, to really check our assumptions about the neighborhood and the community who live there, and really let the community inform our programming needs. I've spent some time there this last weekend and learned that there's actually greater access to bikes than I had expected. And that things like maintenance classes were more in demand than I had expected. So there's more work to do there in terms of outreach, but we're getting started on that. So some of the potential programs there would be, we know that we're doing summer camps, for example, this summer, and we'll look at things like learn to ride lessons, bike rodeo type of community events. And one of the business owners this weekend just expressed an interest in a ciclovia open streets type of event in White Center. So we're really eager to activate this space along with the community of White Center. And I hope that, I think I'll just leave it there for now. I hope these programs and initiatives spark some ideas that you'll implement to create more healthy, vibrant, and connected communities. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Michelle Kiefer, Safe Routes to School Program Manager for Bike Alliance in Minnesota.
Hello, everyone. This is Michelle Kiefer with the Bicycle Alliance of Minnesota, and I would like to share with you our Walk, Bike, Fun, Pedestrian, and Bicycle Safety curriculum and how we have come about to reach the teachers and community educators that we have in the past 3 years. So our, there we go. So our curriculum came about because we knew that pedestrian and bicycle safety education in schools is the greatest way to reach the most students, the most kids in our state, and that they have, teachers have a captive audience most of the time, and the largest audience of children at one time, which creates an opportunity for students to receive lots of practice and immediate feedback from their teachers and assistants and volunteers. For us here in Minnesota, the Department of Transportation receives funding from the state budget and contracts with the Bicycle Alliance of Minnesota to create the curriculum and then to provide trainings across the state. And so then this encompasses the education and encouragement element of Safe Routes to School. We also provide technical assistance and supplemental resources for teachers to use, such as our bike fleet and helmets, educational bookmarks, book cards, and posters. And we are currently working on a resource to prepare volunteers to support the schools in this program with education and encouragement events in the community. So here's the cover of our curriculum and our website, where you can download the curriculum for free. And all of the lessons and information are there, and as well as information about our supplemental resources and technical assistance. So in our curriculum, we have 2 units. The Walk, Bike, Fun unit is 2 units are divided into pedestrian safety and bicycle safety. We start with the children in kindergarten, and the lessons throughout the unit go all the way through 8th grade. The curriculum is very user-friendly. It does not need to be taught by a physical education teacher. We encourage Park and Rec program directors, community education people to come and get the training and use the curriculum as well. But with that said, our target population is the physical education teachers and any classroom teacher in the school wanting to use the curriculum. Like I said, the Walk Fun unit is about pedestrian safety, and it is for the children in grades kindergarten through 3rd grade, and can be used by the regular classroom teachers, not a PHYED teacher, or it can be also implemented into the PHYED program. All of the lessons in our curriculum meet national PHYED and health standards. So when we're trying to promote and market this curriculum to teachers, we ease their minds by assuring them that standards are met in this curriculum, and if they replace something in their program with this curriculum, that they won't lose standards that they are trying to meet. So within the Walk Fun program, we have 4 lessons that are about 30 minutes long. They have interactive and fun activities for the kids to do, and all of the lessons have either a video or music or art, some kind of other medium that ties into the lessons. So the kids have a lot of interacting and a lot of activity going on with these lessons. Some of the lessons that are taught include visual barriers and model street crossing. So here in Minnesota, specific to our weather, we have snow, and occasionally corners of streets get piled up with snow, and it's hard to see around them, or the end of driveways get piled up with piles of snow. And so using the skill of how to navigate around visual barriers is a good lesson that should be taught and is in our curriculum. The trash can here that you see is also another example of visual barriers, and we go through lots of different examples of what visual barriers are. Some of the other lessons that are taught in the pedestrian unit are stopping at an edge and proper left, right, left, stop and search techniques that are important for children to learn in being a safe pedestrian in their community. And finally, our unit ties into a final activity inviting volunteers into the classroom to go on a neighborhood walk with the students, in which they are given a scavenger hunt, And the list of items on the scavenger hunt coincide with the concepts that were taught in the curriculum. So with a volunteer who has a small group of kids from the class, they take out this scavenger hunt checklist and go on about a 30-minute walk around the school, or less depending on the age of the students or the grade level of the students, looking for things such as visual barriers, different types of vehicles, different types of road signs. And then after they've completed the walk, the students come back to the classroom, and hopefully the teacher has invited a school administrator or law enforcement, some person of authority that children recognize as being a standout figure in their community, and it presents them with this certificate of achievement and acknowledging their new skills on how to be a safe pedestrian. Then in the second unit of our curriculum, called Bike Fun, consists of many activities where children are on bicycles, learning and practicing safe bicycle handling skills, as well as traffic laws that make their biking experience more rewarding and enjoyable. So throughout the unit, students learn rules of the road, a quick safety check to use on their bikes, how to properly fit a helmet, and how to optimally pedal brake, where to ride on the road, how to communicate with other traffic, and finally ride bicycles safely throughout their community. There are 8 to 10 lessons in this unit, and again, we are targeting PHYED teachers to teach this in their PHYED programs, again, meeting national PHYED and health standards. It's very important that children in grades 4 through 8 who are taught this curriculum understand that riding your bike is like driving a car. They're very similar in the rules that apply. So rules of the road, such as ride on the road in the same direction as traffic. We don't encourage bicycling on the sidewalk, but there is a fine line what age level that should occur at, and we do talk about that. So there is no definitive law or rule, but we encourage children who are typically ages 10 or above, or 4th grade or above, have the skills to ride on the road in the same direction as traffic, obey all traffic signs, signal turns, and ride in a predictable manner, use a white headlight on their handlebars and a red flashing tail light on the back, and then always wear a helmet. So as you can see, we're teaching in the curriculum the same rules of the road that apply to vehicles, motor vehicles that are on the road, and so a child gets that understanding that they need to stop at stop signs and signal their turns. Other concepts that are taught in the Bike Fun curriculum are using hand signals, so signaling their turn and yielding to pedestrians, crossing the street. It helps the bicycling culture build respect and support by the motorized vehicle drivers. And courtesy and communication taught in the curriculum with the teachers helping to answer questions and guide the students on what all that entails brings for successful and safe pedestrian or safe bicyclists out on the road. And so finally in our curriculum, what I talk about and get into our curriculum trainings is that within the curriculum itself is a resource guide. And there are many pages of diagrams, handouts, a sheet, a checklist of bicycle fleet supplies, equipment lists that a teacher has at their hands to say, this is what it looks like, this is what you need, all of your handouts, all of your worksheets, if there are any, are here in this resource guide, and educational material for you to copy or email and give to the families of the kids in your class. So lots of great information in addition to the lessons in our curriculum. And what I really want to concentrate on and have you take away from our program is that we try very hard to break down any barriers for teachers that they may have in coming to our training and in using our curriculum. So we've been at this for 3 years and seasonally teach our curriculum in the spring and in the fall due to the weather of our state, but also encourage biking and walking to occur in the winter as well. So when we have a curriculum training, we work with either the school or a public health educator in the community, and we put the marketing out and have them register, and we target, of course, the schools and the PE teachers and the health teachers, but like I said, we also open it up to other community educators such as law enforcement, park and rec individuals, leaders within youth organizations such as Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts are also welcome to come and receive the training. When they come to the training, they get a 3-ring binder of the curriculum itself, so they get a hard copy to take with them. And also, they have CEUs that they are given, so there's continuing education units that as licensed teachers they need, and our Department of Education supports this curriculum, so is there to give that to the teachers that are coming to our training. Another barrier that we have found that occurs is the school district may not have the substitute teacher pay, or the teacher may have so many other trainings that they want to get to that one more training is not going to fit their budget. And so we offer to the schools $100 in reimbursement to substitute teacher pay. And so then that helps break down that barrier of not having enough in the budget for substitute teachers. And another way that we help to break down the barrier of using the curriculum in the schools is that we have a fleet of bikes that we that we maintain and bring to our training. So at the trainings, it's very much hands-on. The teachers have bikes and helmets to use, and we also maintain this fleet. So once the teacher has been through the training and needs a bike fleet for their students to use, we have these adjustable bikes, so they fit from 4'2" to 6'2", a person's of that height, in that height range, and can be adjusted. And so the students all have a bike to ride, they all have a helmet to use, and that is free to our trained teachers. We also have a lot of posters, stickers, educational materials that we give, that we produce and give to our trained teachers at no cost. We can also provide technical assistance by doing some phone coaching with them. So if they give us a call and they have a question about a certain aspect of an activity, we're more than happy to take the time and talk them through it. We can also come to their school and do some co-teaching with them. So we are there for them, and we stress that to our teachers to let us know what they need. And so finally, we have heard from the teachers what kids are saying about this program, and it's unanimous that they love it, and they can't wait to, if they are in 3rd grade and know that in 4th grade they're going to be on bikes in Phy-Ed class, they can't wait to be in 4th grade. And here are just a couple of very encouraging quotes that we have heard from teachers, what the kids are telling them. Finally, that's what our program is all about, and I thank you for listening. I'm now going to pass it on to Vanessa and Colby at Living Streets Alliance.
Let's see here. I hope you can hear me now. This is Vanessa Casio, and I'm here with Colby Henley, and we are Living Streets Alliance. We are a nonprofit advocacy organization here in Tucson, Arizona. And let's see here. I hope I have this on. There we go. That's better. And since 2014, we've been managing the Safe Routes to School program in partnership with the city of Tucson. So our plan today is just to highlight a couple success stories with the schools that we've been working with. And Colby will also take a few minutes to talk about our mobile bike repair program. There we go. Sorry, some technical challenges here. So first, what is it in Tucson that we're doing differently? Well, I think it's important for us to really start by mentioning sort of what we consider our guiding principles and the way that we root the work that we're doing, really centering equity and addressing those issues in some of our most stressed communities, which really starts with cultivating authentic relationships with these school communities. And that starts with listening, listening to the challenges and the barriers to biking that we hear from youth, their parents, and their families. And as an organization, we're really interested in ways to leverage our other programs. So for instance, our Open Street Ciclovia program, our policy initiatives to address these barriers to biking, and ultimately connecting these schools, these neighborhoods to the resources that make the most sense to address their needs. So in thinking about this approach, our approach is important. For instance, one example that comes to mind is a challenge that we've heard a lot in Latino communities, for example, is that kids of color, especially middle schools and even into their teens, are more likely to be harassed by police for not wearing a helmet. We've heard stories, anecdotes of police confiscating bikes if kids don't have lights. And this is a systemic reality, one that really frames the question, what does it mean to teach bike safety here? And what does it mean to feel safe and not fearful when I'm riding my bike through my neighborhood? Sorry about that. Our slides seem to be doing tricks on us here. So with our Safe Routes to School program, we have a handful of schools which we have designated as our focus schools. The focus school model has been an opportunity for us to work closely with school communities to really focus our resources to figure out ways to reduce barriers to biking and walking. This picture here is showing one of the schools that we've been working with, Los Amigos Technology Academy, which is predominantly a low-income Latino neighborhood and this is showing the most direct route to school. As you can see, this is the middle of an industrial area near the airport with no sidewalks, near traffic that's going upwards of 40 miles an hour. Oh, I'm not sure why I keep skipping ahead. Sorry about that. So because of this lack of infrastructure around Los Amigos, typically 50% of the students are driven to school and the other 50% are bused. So every Friday, the teachers hold a walk and roll to school day as part of their Fitness Friday initiative, part of their larger health and wellness goals. They have 5 different walking routes and a bicycle train that is led by their fearless librarian, Ms. Flores. And the teachers actually meet the students where they normally would be picked up by the bus. And it's pretty amazing to see anywhere from 90 to 150 kids joining these routes. But the school is also working really hard to build this culture using consistent messaging and reminders throughout the school, on the marquee, weekly reminders from the principal, and of course incentives also help. And they've been incentivizing the parents for participating as well with gift cards from local grocery stores and other places in the neighborhood. So one of the things that we often hear from these communities that we've been working with is that there's a lot of economic hardships and a slew of other challenges, but there's also a lot of pride and community connectedness here. And I don't think that these after-school bike clubs are an innovation unto themselves, but I think for these schools, they have been particularly powerful in connecting students to their surrounding communities in a different way. So for instance, taking field trips to neighborhood destinations and visiting local businesses and talking to those business owners, checking out parks and other areas that are literally in their backyard. So the bicycle becomes a really powerful tool for students, and it can reinforce this message that they belong to a resilient and connected community. So the picture here shows one of the schools that we work with, Pueblo Gardens, which is a really special, tight-knit neighborhood. We've been working actually with one of the neighbors of the school, Mr. Luis, who leads the bike club. He's also a gardener, so he's shown here with some of the kiddos identifying some of the native vegetation. And there are actually pictured here in an environmental restoration area that is only half a mile from the school. It's actually surrounded by a multi-use bike path. And the majority of the kids in the club had never been here or used the path before. So with all of our programs, I just want to mention that for us, it's always an opportunity to tie them into our greater advocacy goals. We have some examples here that we've done through our program, really bringing out the mayor and other elected officials to show the need in this area of town, thinking about community building and bringing resources to make projects happen, talking to city planners, and really elevating the voices of the community here. So I'm going to pass it along to Colby. Hopefully he has better luck with the slide management here.
Hi, this is Colby. So I work with Vanessa here at Living Streets Alliance. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about mobile bike repair, which again is something that's probably fairly common across safe routes programs across the nation. So we do have funding from our local NPO for free helmets, and we really try to work within the focused school kind of approach that we use, so really reaching out to schools that have fewer resources and where we're trying to kind of really encourage this behavior. And really it's about finding kind of those administrative and teachers within the school that are kind of the champions for this program, and that's a key part for making it a success. And then also a lot about, as much as we can, as much as the kids are interested and able, that we can get them hands-on and kind of learning some of these skills that they can take on and do some of this themselves. So we're a pretty slim operation for the mobile bike repair, kind of all fitting and working out of the back of a small pickup truck right now, but it's kind of an easy, low startup cost operation, so we can get it up and going pretty quick, and then pretty limited resources. So again, we're really careful about where we provide the services, and want to try to maximize our impact in doing that. One way that we kind of try to broaden our impact in this program is we contract with some youth mechanics from our local bike co-op, Bike Us here in town, which has a long history and really successful program. And so kind of partnering with them and using some high school students that have gone through their training and volunteer and work at their program. And so that's just another way you can kind of expand our reach. And then similarly, we are focusing on supplying a lot of our materials and tubes and tires and tools and things from this particular shop here is the only one in South Tucson, which is a community that is really a high need community, and so we like to partner with them and give them some business and help stabilize them, and they're a good presence in that community as far as getting people out and riding and keeping them going. They do programs with the kids and things as well. So kind of, again, partnering and kind of expanding everyone's reach for a low resource program. And then finally, one of the issues that we've encountered and are kind of starting to expand a little bit is, in particular, a couple of our schools where we don't have maybe the response within the school that we had hoped for. And some of that is language barriers and culture barriers that, as far as between the students and communicating back to home and parent permissions and being able to stay after school and those kind of issues having to do with schools with a number of refugee students. And so we are expanding out in some of the apartment complexes in the area that have high populations of refugees and taking the mobile bike group here into those communities to be able to reach those families and provide the service. So, you know, it's beyond the school, but it's still reaches those students and kind of meets the need that's there. So that's the overview of mobile bike repair. And so there's contact info for myself and Vanessa. Thanks for letting us participate. And so I'm going to pass it back to Sarah now.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again so much to all of our speakers. I think well, we can all agree those were really exciting and inspiring programs. We are, before we open things up for Q&A, going to zip over and hear a few words about a couple of opportunities that we're supporting here at the National Partnership. So let me pass it over to Hannah Williams, who is our Fire Up Your Feet program manager.
Hi, everyone. I work on Fire Up Your Feet, an encouragement program created by the National Partnership to promote active living and healthy lifestyles for K-8 students, families, and school staff. If you're participating in Bike to School Day on May 10th, this is a great opportunity to possibly win cash for your school. Any school in the country that participates in Bike to School Day on May 10th is eligible to win a $500 walk, bike, roll to school day award. To participate, all you have to do is create an account at Fire Up Your Feet. It's free. Use a paper tracker, a tally sheet, or any other method to count the number of students that walk, bike, or roll to school. Log on to Fire Up Your Feet between May 10th and May 18th and use the online activity tracker to record the number of students that walked or biked. All schools will be entered into a drawing and winners will be chosen at random. One $500 award will be given in each region: California, Colorado, Hawaii, Maryland, Metro Atlanta, Nevada, Oregon, Southwest Washington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. Additionally, one $500 award will be given to a school outside of the Fire Up Your Feet sponsored regions mentioned. In addition to the National Walk, Bike, Roll to School Day Award, make sure to check out our Fire Up Your Feet website to see details on our Spring Challenge. We have $90,000 available in cash awards for K-8 schools in supported regions. The Spring Challenge will take place from April 15th to May 15th in California, Colorado, Hawaii, Metro Atlanta, and Southern Nevada, and during the month of May in Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Oregon, and Southwest Washington. Registration is open, so thank you so much, and I will pass it over to Julie Frank, our Senior Manager of Development.
Thank you, Hannah. Now, just a quick PSA about Active Schools fundraising. Guess what? There is time to leverage your bike culture this spring and raise funds for your school at the same time. Check out Active Schools Fundraising, the active and healthy way to fundraise, brought to you by the National Partnership, Kaiser Permanente, and Let's Move Active Schools. There is no setup fee, and your school keeps 75% of funds raised online. 25% supports the National Partnership initiatives to increase physical activity. It's a win-win. Just create your team page and start fundraising to support your Bike to School Day event. Raise more, move more. Visit activeschoolsfundraising.org and click the orange sign up button. Thanks to our sponsors, you also get access to discounts and a chance to win prizes. Visit the partner page to learn about all the prizes you could win and view recorded webinars to learn how to set up your Active Schools fundraising team page. In closing, enjoy fundraising the active and healthy way. Back to you, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Julie. All right, so now we are going to move on to questions that you all have submitted for our speakers. And I'm just going to kick it off by posing one of the first questions that's come in, where we've really seen several people asking this, and I think this applies for all the speakers. Can you talk a little bit about how your efforts are funded? And I'm going to pair that with a sort of related question, which was who insures bike trailers and bike fleets for your programs? And hopefully all of our speakers are off mute and can just chime in.
Hi, this is Michelle Kiefer with the Bicycle Alliance of Minnesota. I will go first in answering that question. Our funding comes from the Minnesota Department of Transportation, in which the legislature designates Safe Routes to School funding, and so they put out an RFP and solicit organizations to work with their Safe Routes to School program in delivering the Walk Bike Fun curriculum. And once we're accepted in that, then they contract with us and we deliver the program. So our funding comes from Safe Routes to School, designated funds from the legislature to the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Also, that includes the fleet of bikes that we have and maintain and deliver to schools for students to use when they're taught the Walk Bike Fun curriculum. And we also work with schools who acquire a fleet of bikes from the Department of Transportation when they have extra funds and put out a solicitation for applications from individual schools and communities, so that they have the opportunity to also receive a bike fleet from the Department of Transportation. That is our main area of funding.
So this is Shannon from Cascade Bicycle Club. Back up to the first question that was about funding, and many of our education programs are funded through combination of sources, so contracts, grants, including Safe Routes to School grants, individual donors. There are portions of the organization that are funded through the big events that we operate here, sort of a funding mechanism. And then the second part of that question was about insuring the trailers. So in the case where these are Cascade owned and operated trailers, obviously they're just insured as all of our other assets are. For the middle school Safe Routes to School program that's operated throughout the state of Washington, when the trailers and bikes are given to the school district, those assets are then insured by the school districts.
This is Colby with Living Streets Alliance. So our funding comes through a contract with the City of Tucson Department of Transportation, which ultimately receives their funding through our regional MPO, the Transportation Fund. So kind of a pretty standard approach to that.
Great. So a quick question for Shannon regarding the Major Taylor project. What approach do you use to get into schools? The person asking the question says, we are faced with requiring a teacher to be present at all after-school programs and not getting teachers to volunteer. Have you run into this, and how did you overcome it?
Sure, yeah. So the first piece of that question is sort of accessing schools. And again, we're really intentional with our approach and identifying really high need schools and really diverse communities. Oftentimes these relationships are developed as folks from the school, the principal, school administration, teachers come forward as they're aware of the program and ask for it to be there. And so our criteria is, again, the things that I just mentioned about high needs and diverse communities, but then also really wanting to make sure that this is a school community where we can really have long-term engagement. We're not interested in one and done sort of programming, really wanting to make sure that the infrastructure and the support is really there within the school to be able to sustain and maintain this program, and continue to be able to draw volunteers from within the school community to we'll go on the weekly rides and work alongside kids. And I think in terms of being able to enter a community, it's I think you really need to show up in an authentic way, and it's obviously really helpful if the program connects to other related programming that you're doing already, that you've got some sort of foothold and sort of legitimacy in the community.
Terrific. Great answer. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time for questions that we have. So I'm just going to wrap it up and give you a few final reminders here. So first of all, don't forget that we're going to have this webinar posted online within 48 hours at safehousespartnership.org. Next, we want to make sure that you are all aware about a couple upcoming events we have. We're doing a free webinar in April that's going to be focusing on return on investment in active transportation. And the information for that is listed here. I think you may also see some information about it in your chat box, or go to our website for more information. And we're also, for those of you who are on Twitter or would like to be on Twitter, please come and follow our Move Equity tweet chat and participate in that on street harassment and how we can increase walking and biking by addressing that, which will be on April 5th. And then finally, you will be receiving a quick survey after the close of this webinar. Very, very short. Please give us your feedback. We'd love to hear that. We take it very seriously. And I want to say a final thank you to all of our speakers for sharing their time and knowledge and expertise with us, and also to everyone for attending. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.